Thank you for clicking the link and coming over to the Simpson College Storm Wrestling presentation on the 7 R's. Do you know that competitive stress is really what we call in athletics the silent killer? And we all know that competition can be very, very stressful. But did you know that competitive stress is the single greatest factor in not being able to reach your peak performance level? Why do you think all of the best athletes in the world have personal sports psychologists that work with them on the mental side of reaching their peak performance? But I think the big question is, do you know what competitive stress is? You know, competitive stress is made up of 2 components, and that is how important is the competitive event that you're about to compete in to you as an athlete. And the second component is how successful do you as an athlete feel that you can be at that level in that competition with your skills and abilities. So let's break that down a minute. Let's say that you're going to go into just a traditional regular season competition, but for the first time, your grandparents are going to be there. Well, that really increases the importance of that particular competitive event. So let's also back that out and say that it's a regular season competition, but you're going up against an opponent that is extremely good or nationally ranked or something, and you start to wonder, do I have the skills to compete against this particular athlete? So now your stress level goes up because you're really putting a lot of stress on yourself to be able to compete at a higher level than you think that you potentially can compete at. So that's really the critical piece, is how are you going to perceive and address each one of those particular factors? Well, that's really where the rubber meets the road, because athletes in those situations, they either break out or they break down. That's just the way it is. And they either crumble under the pressure or they rise. And it's really important that you have a coaching staff that understands these components and is able to provide you with strategies and solutions rather than just another set of techniques, rather than just another addition to your pitching repertoire or your wrestling takedown techniques or something like that. So what we do at Simpson College is we provide the 7 R's to overcoming competitive stress. So number 1 is repetition. And it is crucial to your level of confidence that you know that you are properly prepared. And when you get enough repetitions and you've done those game speed skills and techniques enough that you're on autopilot with them, you have confidence that you can execute those skills within the game plan that your coach is giving you, and you have confidence to be able to do that against anybody that you're going to compete against. So repetition. Routine. Now, routines are really important, and you're going to see a little bit of a theme on this in different ways throughout the presentation, but implementing routines into your pregame activities is very, very, very critical, because that keeps your mind focused on the techniques and the game plan, and it doesn't let you get distracted by some of those things that are out of your control that can place some stress on you. Like we talked about before, if you're thinking about who you're competing against, as opposed to keeping yourself within your routine and staying focused, then your stress level can rise. Redirection. And this is one of the most critical skills that you can learn, because you can use it not only during competition, but in pregame as well. Because I think as coaches, we need to understand, and you as athletes as well, that you're going to get distracted at some point, whether it's during the game or in pregame, but you're going to get distracted, and you're going to need to learn how to redirect that distraction back to being focused on the things that are going to help you be successful on the next snap of the ball or the next blow of the whistle or whatever it's going to be. Reality. Now this kind of goes back to the thought process on, do you have the skills to compete at that level? Because too often athletes make stuff up. That guy's really fast, or my opponent is strong, or you start listening to other things, and you're not really dealing in reality. You're dealing in somebody else's perception or something that you've read in the paper. So you got to really deal in reality. Is the competitor across from me? What do they really do? What is their reality? And don't let your mind start thinking of things or making things up that are going to stress you out, that are guesses. Stay in reality. And then readiness. And we talked about repetitions, but when we talk about readiness, this is really a deeper pot that you got to dig into. We're talking about sleep. We're talking about nutrition and strength training and conditioning, video review. All of those things go into your total package of readiness. And you will always know if you have done the right things to prepare. And the flip side of that is you will always know if you haven't. So let's say that, one of the things that you needed to do to get ready was to watch video on your opponent, and you didn't do that. Well, your coaches may not know that you didn't do that. Your opponent obviously doesn't know you didn't do that, but you know. And that's that inner stress that will keep you from being able to compete at your peak performance level, because you got that distraction on your mind. So you really need to start thinking in terms of doing everything right to be ready for that competition. And reaction. This is so critical because, I can tell you this. This is one of the things that as I work with athletes across the country, and even coaches, that is so difficult to get them to understand. The same situation that you come across and that your teammate comes across, you can have two entirely different reactions to the exact same thing. If you look at those emojis right there, if a person reads a post and one person's going to like it, one person's going to love it, it's going to make one person angry, somebody's going to laugh about it, but it's the same post. So you don't control anything but how you react to the situation that you're in. So, we use this a lot. Bottom of the ninth, 2 on, 2 out, 2 strikes. And if you get out, if you don't get a hit, season's over. We talked about this previously. You're either going to rise to the occasion or you're going to crumble under the pressure. Regardless of what you actually do, you're going to have a reaction to that situation. So the question is, how are you going to react? And unless you put some time and effort into using some of these techniques, then you're and increasing your awareness level, you're going to have a challenge in how you react. And if you react negatively, or if you react with stress to one of those high stress scenarios, then chances are you're not going to be performing at your peak level. And relax. In those situations, you need to turn inward, focus on your technique, because the reality of this is, guys, is that 2 on, 2 out, bottom of the ninth, you got to get a hit. That the baseball doesn't know that there are 2 strikes. The baseball doesn't know that it's the bottom of the ninth. The bat doesn't know that you got to get a hit. So the only thing that really affects your ability to be successful is if you're getting stressed out and letting that stress affect your ability to have proper technique. So we use cue words and relaxation techniques to make sure that we're not stressed, we're focused. A lot of times just rhythmic breathing is a quick and effective way. And there's a lot of other techniques that you can use. If you use rhythmic breathing and add a couple trigger words, you're really going to find that you can stay focused on the task at hand. So when you learn to address stress and keep it under control, you are able to let your talent ride free. You know, when you hear about athletes speaking about getting in the zone, that is the place that they're stress-free and they're completely focused on competing at their peak performance level. And they're dropping 50 on the basketball court, or they're tech falling this guy that they maybe aren't supposed to be able to beat. But I'll tell you what, that's why at Simpson College we are seeing such an incredible rise in the talent in our recruiting classes and such unbelievable success with our returners that are on the team, because we are addressing these concepts so that you guys can go out and compete at your peak performance level. Our On the Rise culture is embedded in everything we do, and this is part of it. Making sure that you're stress-free, you're feeling good, and you compete at your peak performance level. And guys, we can't wait for you to see what we're doing and come be a part of what we have going on at Simpson College. Well, thank you very much for listening to the presentation on competitive stress and the 7 R's on how to overcome competitive stress. We're looking forward to talking with you soon. And remember, be 100% of the time.